Hello my fellow otakus! Today I will be reviewing a movie called A Silent Voice, which has a special place in my heart for various reasons that I plan to analyze in my review. I'll start off by saying that this anime film is a masterpiece in my eyes, and without a doubt, one of the best films that I have ever seen in my life, as it touched me on a spiritual level due to how well executed, unique and jaw-dropping it was, along with how close it hit to home for me personally for certain reasons. Without any further ado, I will now proceed to analyze the reasons why I love A Silent Voice and how it shattered my expectations with its beauty. First and foremost, we have the story and the characters. The story of this movie revolves around two specific characters, a young man called Shoya Isida and a young lady called Shoko Nishimiya, with a big emphasis on their relationship. At the very beginning of the film, we are introduced to Shoya in a short montage that shows him chilling with his friends and having a good time. Later on, we start seeing him in action and realize that as a character, he's a rather immature child that wishes to have fun all day long during each day of his life with his two friends by doing risky activities such as jumping off a bridge and diving into a river, just for the thrill of it. We are then introduced to Shoko, who transfers to Shoya's school one fateful day. Unlike Shoya, she appears to be a shy yet kind, sweet and loving girl that wishes to get along with everybody within her new school environment. Everything seems good so far, right? That's what I also thought until I saw the shock in everyone's eyes within Shoya's class upon the revelation that Shoko is deaf and can't hear anything without special hearing aids, to which Shoya reacted with a loud remark by claiming that she's weird. Even though nothing major happened then, the shock in those children's eyes had me worried, but I gave them the benefit of the doubt and kept watching. After that point, we see that Shoya's female classmates try to approach Shoko and learn more about her, while Shoya is observing her from afar, since she's an extraterrestrial being in his eyes, which he simply cannot comprehend, no matter how hard he tries. As the movie goes by, we notice Shoya overhearing a female classmate of his that was helping out Shoko with note-taking during school hours while she voiced her frustration towards Shoko. She claimed that the reason behind her frustration was the fact that helping Shoko out was the reason why she was constantly falling behind in class. The frustration of his female classmate ended up pushing Shoya down the wrong path, as it propelled his immature and childish self to start bullying Shoko, since he viewed her as nothing but trouble for his friends. Even though this kind of behavior is indeed morally incorrect and inexcusable, it successfully shows why children with special needs get mistreated in public schools, since in the mind of an immature child like Shoya, this mistreatment is sadly seen as a justified course of action due to the lack of awareness regarding those unique individuals within our society. As the days go by, Shoya's bullying towards Shoko keeps getting worse until it eventually reaches the point where Shoko ultimately transfers out of the school, despite her many attempts to get along with everyone, including Shoya, as she not only ended up being the laughingstock for everyone within her class, including her teacher in various occasions, which to me is the most unforgivable thing so far in the story due to how much of a pretentious jerk that teacher is, but also endured property damage, with many of her special hearing aids going missing, which was terrible upon considering the fact that these gadgets are very expensive. Upon her departure and the forced confession from Shoya to his teacher in front of the entire class, claiming that he wasn't the only one who actively partook in the bullying and that many people helped him reach this outcome by accepting the situation and even worsening it, everyone's attention and hatred was shifted towards Shoya. As a result, Shoya was not only ostracized by his class, but he also turned into a victim of bullying himself and completely shut himself from others, as he thought that he deserved to be alone and unhappy after all the suffering he caused to Shoko. After that, we see what happens in the lives of those two a few years later upon their surprising reunion, and we witness their new interactions, which are so wholesome and lovable that they make me all giddy and cheerful whenever I watch them, and how their relationship finally takes a turn for the better now that both individuals are just as mature, which is a huge display of Shoya's growth as a character, by the way, and the reason why my hate towards him at the very beginning of the movie was completely gone by the time the credits rolled. Before moving on, I want to mention real quick that the development of both Shoya and Shoko was executed so damn well, due to the really well crafted character writing, which blew me away with how realistic and wonderful it was. I will now proceed to talk about the soundtrack. The soundtrack of this film is simply phenomenal, and I really can't stress that enough. I love how relaxing, charming, soothing, and peaceful its tracks are overall, along with very few spicy ones which can be found amongst them, as they fit the various themes of the movie very well and successfully enhanced the overall experience by a mile. One of my absolute favorite tracks within the soundtrack has to be the lead VAR one, which is the very last track used in the movie prior to the credits, and the way it was utilized for the last scene was brilliant, just like the scene itself, bringing me to tears due to how beautiful, powerful, and meaningful it was. As for the animation, it was eye candy, and I was glued to the screen the entire time due to how colorful, jaw-dropping, and downright gorgeous it was. The movement of the characters was fluid, the visuals were excellent, especially the various landscapes shown in the movie, which, dare I say, look even better than the real-life locations they were based on, and I liked every single detail about it. Kyoto Animation did one hell of a job with this movie, and I wouldn't have enjoyed it nearly as much had it not been for their superb work on it. Now I would like to take some time and tell you guys how much this movie means to me, and how it impacted me, but first, here is a little story about me. Once upon a time, there was a young man who joined primary school and was brimming with confidence as he was ready to make new friends and be on good terms with everyone. Everything went well at the beginning until the young man eventually realized that not all people appreciated his kindness and started bad-mouthing him or simply ignored him for no real reason. After that, the young man gradually lost his confidence and shut himself away from others, as expressing his opinions or talking about stuff he liked with his fellow classmates was seemingly bringing nothing but distraction upon himself, as he got laughed at no matter how hard he tried to get along with everyone. Moreover, many lies were spread amongst the classroom that falsely accused the young fellow about stuff he never did, which not only hurt the young man's reputation and pride, but also his feelings and self-esteem. Thankfully, his parents and siblings were always there for him, so he knew that he wasn't lonely, but due to his lack of friends apart from a certain girl that he hanged out with, who eventually moved away before the young man graduated from primary school, a void was created within the youngster's heart, which took a toll on him and turned him into an antisocial person who was afraid of showing himself to others, as he hated getting hurt emotionally, and in very few occasions physically, over and over again. After many years had passed and the young man had transformed into a tall high schooler who was about to reach adulthood during his last year of high school, the once lonely young man managed to find people who appreciated him for who he was and made him happy, thus making lots of friends who he still treasures to this day, to the point where he wouldn't ever trade them for anything else in the whole wide world. So yeah, as a victim of bullying myself throughout the entirety of my school years, I could totally relate to both Shoko and Shoya, after he became a victim himself at least, which is why this movie speaks volumes for me, as it perfectly showcased how much the negativity of this crappy phenomenon messes with one's heart, feelings, and even their mental stability. It's also the reason why I was more than happy when they both achieved true friendship with other characters by the end of the story and made me cheer for them all the way up until the very end. Overall, this movie is a meaningful journey of regret, self-hatred, change, forgiveness, and redemption that was executed masterfully due to how well its pacing was handled, how much detail it had when it came to breaking down all of these stages in Shoya's life, some of which also applied to Shoko herself for reasons that I can't talk about, which are shown in the movie, and how symbolic it was when it came to depicting the theme of change, which is exactly why I can't help tearing up whenever I watch it, especially its superb ending, as it touched me deeply with its relatability as a victim of bullying myself who was nearly depressed back in my school days, like I mentioned earlier, and its realism, thus engraving this timeless masterpiece in my mind for the rest of my life. One more key detail that I really love about this film is the fact that it clearly states to its audience that no matter how depressed a person might be, suicide is never the solution, and even stresses the fact that each individual should always find a way to get back up on their feet whenever they are down, even if they feel overwhelmed by the many obstacles on their way, and keep marching forward on the long and complicated journey that is life. I give A Silent Voice the Plus Ultra rating, and I urge you all to watch it, whether you like anime or not, as it is an extraordinary experience that will forever stick with you and potentially bring you to tears like it did for me. Before I go, I'd like to thank the Kyoto Animation Studio for making this timeless masterpiece, and may the people who worked on this piece of art and unfortunately passed away due to the terrible arson attack that happened back on the 18th of July in 2019, rest in peace. Thank you very much for watching my review. If you liked the video, please drop a like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Otakuman out.